Hello friends, welcome back. Just getting rid of the YouTube posts so people don't still think I'm live with Minecraft. And we should be good to go here. How are you all? Hope you've been well. I have some very good news about the current Elden Ring run. Hashtag Arbalest. Seems like we might have a viable character on our hands. So I'm just going to make a quick Twitter post. Time to take this man to the Erdtree, armed only with a crossbow and a jellyfish. Right. Let's get to it. Back to Elden Ring. Back to hashtag Arbalest, who is now level 127. We've been at Mohg Palace Bird Farm. We've been doing our thing. And the Arbalest is now upgraded to plus 17 because I went and got a couple of Smithing Stone 6s from breakable statues. There is one in the road to Mount Gelmir. There's a breakable statue there, past where Magma Worm is. Spoke to Alexander on the way. Didn't beat Magma Worm, but it turns out you can just talk to Alexander while Magma Worm is running wild on that place. So I got a couple of Smithing Stone 6s from the Rune Bear there. I got a few more from a breakable statue in the sealed tunnel inside of Lanedale outskirts walls. So we've been there, and we've been here. Now we're going to get the remaining Smithing Stone 6s by fighting Fallingstar Beast. Let's see how this goes as a warm-up. So fun thing about Fallingstar Beast, we might be able to get a slightly better amount of damage if we use magic arrows. So I'm going to start using meteor bolts. These are slightly more expensive, but now that we can farm runes, I've been gathering as many bolts as I can from various merchants, including, actually, there's one down here on Mount Gelmir. I think maybe across the bridge and down a couple of jumps, you find a guy who sells explosive bolts, which deal fire damage and explode on impact. So I'm not sure if they deal more poise damage or what, but we might be able to do something about that. Anyway, we're also going to put on the Ritual Sword Talisman. I have the Arrow's Reach Talisman now as well. I went and got that because it was nice and easy to get from Limgrave. We haven't been to the DLC with this character at all, but if we get a chance, I might try to go to the DLC and get hold of the Soaring Sting Talisman. But of course, for that, we have to have a chance. So let's see how we do. I also have not done my buff routine yet, so maybe I'll try and get some of this done while this guy is kind of pacing around. And then we shoot him in the face. So we're getting 300 damage or so per hit right now. And that's still hitting us, so that's not great, but honestly, all you've really got to do is continue to pelt the bosses that will just stand there and let you hit them. Of which this is one of them. The problem is we can't actually target any of its weaker points, so we just sort of have to play it by ear a little bit. Point and shoot. But obviously we can keep our distance here, which is not the worst position to be in, right? The only problem with having the incantation buffs, like I got enough faith to get Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength working. But the problem is that takes a decent amount of FP, and then they only last for about 20 seconds or so. And this is a really like a long-term damage strategy, not a short-term one. So you really don't get as much bang for your buck on buffs like those that only last a short amount of time as you would do on a melee weapon, say. Ouch. Okay, there goes the Ritual Sword Talisman buff. The other thing is, right now I have the full Bull Goat set on. So I'm not taking a huge amount of damage on the occasion that I do get hit, which is very good because it's actually kind of nice to have some reassurance that I'm not going to absolutely get crushed whenever a fight takes this long. See, that didn't do a huge amount of damage, and I've definitely seen this boss do a heck of a lot of damage in the past because I've not had a particularly adequate armor set to fight it. Ouch, okay, I only did one that time. The one thing that's slightly frustrating to me about this is when my flasks don't heal my health bar all the way back up. And so I miss out on Ritual Sword Talisman, but it doesn't seem practical to use a second flask to heal all the way up again. The only other thing that concerns me now is the fact that I'm getting low on bolts. Like, I've already used up... I mean, like, we've used up 2/3 of my bolts, and we're definitely down to less than 1/3 of the health bar left, so... I think it's a safe assumption that we're not going to completely run out of bolts, but... That's right, if you just run towards me like this, and then I can get a few point-blank shots directly at your face, that would be nice. But yeah, this is 4/5 of my ammo used up now, or thereabouts. Ow. Not terrible, though. And it's dead. Nice. Pick you a random D weapon to do for your next playthrough. I can't pick one at random. That's kind of difficult for me to do. But, yeah, there we go. We managed that. I think... Yeah, we now have 7 Smithing Stone 6s, which is enough to get this weapon up to the next level. So let's head back to Roundtable Hold. Yeah, random D is kind of difficult, both because I can't remember all of the weapons that begin with D, and also because I wouldn't pick one at random. I would pick one specifically. But Ginger says whichever one is number 6 on the list. So yeah, sure, go for that. Alright, now we're up to plus 19 on the Arbalest because we already had a couple of Smithing Stone 7s. The other good place to get hold of those is the DLC. I know where there are a few of those in the DLC. Like, we could get probably all the way up to maybe plus 23 if we manage to get to the DLC. Problem with that is we have to beat Mohg. Problem with beating Mohg is that we don't have the Purifying Crystal tier that we would get from over here. But the good news is we actually don't need the Wondrous Physic for anything, because all of the, like, stuff like the Strength Not Crystal tier, for example, that's just going to boost your strength, and the strength is not going to have any bearing on how much damage we do. So we can sacrifice mixed physic tiers easily. The ground is really cool. Did the Fallingstar beast fall from the sky? The name would certainly suggest so, yes. And the idea behind any of those insectoid-looking enemies, like the Fallingstar beasts, or like the malformed stars, which are these insectoid things that hang from the ceiling but have incredibly similar pincers, is that they did seem to come from space at some stage, and that's why they have impact craters a lot of the time. They also tend to specialize in gravity magic, like they'll fire meteorites at them. Yeah, there is a certain amount of scene setting that has taken place there to suggest that stuff has come from space, which is, yeah, not unheard of in Elden Ring either. There are certainly other creatures in the canon of this story that have definitely come from space. Thinking here of the Elden Beast as well. Alright, so now we are here. Second Church of Marika. Yura is here.
But I've sliced. Please, do not stay.
And as Yura dies, Eleonora should spawn. We get the Nagakiba. And this is going to be interesting. We'll see how we do. But this is, once again, going to be a difficult fight because Eleonora is an NPC and also has dragon incantations. So we'll basically just try and lay into her whenever it looks like she's about to try and attack. And the problem with that is she knows Grail's Roar, which is a difficult spell to face because it reduces your attack and your defense power. Luckily, this armor set gives me a pretty decent amount of defense, so alright, cool. Right, we're back to square one. Okay, yeah. Nice. Okay, got a headshot that time too. Pretty good. There goes my ritual sword buff. Okay, yeah, we're taking blood loss, but that's fine because we have a ton of robustness thanks to this armor. And the amount of endurance and vigor I've been able to build up is pretty substantial, so we're really not taking much damage. We can also use bleed bolts on her. And despite being kind of blood affiliated herself. She probably has a relatively low resistance to bleed, so... Can try to make it happen, but honestly I think we'll be good here if we just... Yeah, there we go. Load her up. Why is she one-handing a pole blade? I know, right? So, we've got that taken care of. The other place we can go for another sacred tier is the Storm Church down here, so I might quickly go and do that. We can... Yeah, we can go from there to the... Ray Lucaria Merchant to top up on Meteor Bolts again, just to make sure we are full on those. I don't want to lose track of how much ammo we have and run out mid-fight, especially if we're fighting something that's weak to a specific element. We probably want to keep stock of those. Visual is such a tanky armored person fighting with a crossbow instead of a big bonk weapon is hilarious. Yeah, honestly, the tanky approach is going to help a lot, considering that I can't really guarantee my defense by a good offense, you know? Like, I have to keep at range, and so any additional health I can get is really helpful. But the other aspect of this is I can afford to put all of my stat points into endurance and the kind of thing that can get me, like, I can still have a medium roll with such a heavy armor set, because the crossbow doesn't scale with any stats in particular, so it's going to do the same amount of damage whether I put points into strength, defense, endurance, a strength like faith, arcane, whatever. Like, the crossbow does the same amount of damage. So the other thing I've not done yet, which we considered doing at various times and is probably going to be essential for fights like Radagon and people who are prepared to tank and parry projectiles. I have not done any Glovewort gathering so that we can upgrade Spirit Ashes. Right now I have Stormhawk Dean on my carousel here, but I probably will not end up using Stormhawk Dean for a couple of reasons. One being, one of the primary reasons to use it in the first place is to get the aura buff that you get when you summon Stormhawk Dean, and then that's sort of going to be overridden by the fact that I have the Golden Vow aura buff active most of the time anyway. The other thing is that Stormhawk Dean has pretty low HP, so against, you know, the people we'll be needing summons for, like Radagon, he's probably not going to last very long anyway. So outside of that, I think we'll probably turn to other more tanky summons so that they can draw aggro for us a little bit. And that's where I hope we would end up getting a decent amount of damage on Radagon just from firing crossbow bolts at him from a distance. So let's walk to Main Academy Gate. Only rule for your runs is to use Fanged Imp Ashes. That's fair. Means you can get the Graven Mass Talisman later, so that's a pretty good choice. Can you have multi-shot with a crossbow? There is a pulley crossbow that gives you like a triple shot, like it fires 3 bolts quickly. And a lot of people use that if they are doing a crossbow-only run. In this case, I can't do that because I'm specifically using the Arbalest crossbow. Like, the whole point of the A to Z is we're going through the weapons alphabetically, and I won't get to the pulley crossbow until P. So, yeah, it's like... It's not like I have the luxury of choosing from the whole category, right? Alright, that's our Meteor Bolts topped up. We could go and top up on Bird Bolts as well, but I think I might go quickly back to Mount Gelmir, go and find the merchant over there and get hold of a few more explosive bolts. So with beating, you mean all remembrances, including or excluding the DLC stuff? No, I mean just beating the game, just seeing the end credits. So fight the Elden Beast and Radagon and win. Because all remembrances would take a long time and would make basically every run kind of similar, whereas I think it's exciting if we end up saving stuff like fighting Melania for the run where we have to do, like, Hand of Melania. It also means that I don't have the repetitive task on stream of fighting difficult bosses with just a crossbow. I feel like that would take a lot longer on stream than I really wanted it to, and would just slow everything down. So I think I try and keep these runs a little bit varied. Each run is going to feel different, but it means that we don't end up doing absolutely everything in the game. Because then I'd be playing this game for a lot longer than my projected time for completing every weapon in the game would be like 8 years. It would take a lot longer if I was doing every weapon in the game all remembrances. Because some of the weapons are genuinely just bad. There are some people who do all remembrances because they are better at the game than I am. Also saves a lot of doing Rykard. Exactly, yeah. Like, I would... Honestly, on all of these runs, even when I've had a melee weapon that might be capable of taking on Rykard with enough time and patience, I just use the Serpent Hunter Spear anyway, because it's sort of the intended way of doing it, and it's just for one fight, whereas the rest of the game, the weapon I'm using can still be kind of like the star of the show. But in this case, yeah, I have no intent of fighting Rykard. Me and the old folks home finally getting to the last few weapons, I know. Like, retired and still playing Elden Ring. What are the odds additional DLC is released before you're finished with all the weapons? I believe, from what I've heard, from what I recall, FromSoft has no intention of doing any more DLC for this game. Definitely putting the Elden in Elden Ring, yes. 100%. But yeah, like, FromSoft, from what I gather, is not putting out any more DLC for Elden Ring. This is it. They're just going to focus on other games, and who knows, maybe by the time we're done, they will have released a bunch more games that I'm interested in playing, or they'll be putting out like a sequel to Elden Ring, or going back to Dark Souls or Bloodborne or whatever, you know? They better have gaming systems in those places when I get old. Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I would not be surprised if this generation brings this kind of console stuff with them. So I'm going to go and fight Draconic Tree Sentinel, just so we're in Lanedale and we're making a bit of story progress. I've already spoken to Alexander, so in theory we get a summon for Fire Giant. I might use the Melina summon sign for Morgott's fight, just so Morgott isn't on me constantly, because he's really aggro and maneuverable if you're in here solo, and I actually kind of want to be... able to avoid getting hit a lot, believe it or not. Okay, so this is Draconic Tree Sentinel. This is going to be potentially kind of tricky. We'll buff quickly first. And he is vulnerable to bleed, so I'm going to use bleed bolts for this. He's kind of a glass cannon, though. He doesn't have a ton of health pool. I mean, kind of literally a cannon in the case of that horse, am I right? There we go, there's the bleed. Alright, so that should be phase 2 for this guy. Honestly, doing chip damage like this is not terrible when you know what you're doing for the rest of the fight. I'm just not looking forward to, like, sustained high aggro fights like Morgott, Malekith. Fights like this where he mixes it up and has like a ranged attack that I can dodge easily. Yeah, I'm into it. Okay, there we go. That's where it starts to turn for me. Dang it. Absolutely botched the timing. Then again, once we have this armor, being this tanky is so good for not really needing to heal that much. Godskin Duo. Godskin Duo is probably not going to be too bad because you can put one of them to sleep and you have the banal summon if you go that far. So not too bad. You think with so much armor he'd be more tanky, the Sentinel? Yeah, I mean, he's just got a lot of very aggressive attacks that are difficult to dodge unless you know how, right? Thank you, Cypher. That's very kind of you to say. So yeah, we're now at the point where we need like 100k runes to level up, so we're not going to level up in huge bursts here. We could always go and shoot some more birds if we want to. We can get through Lanedale without issue, which means we get to the Godfrey Gold Phantom fight. And then Morgott, obviously. With Morgott, we also have the option of using Margit's Shackle if we wanted to, but I don't know if we really need to. And once we're in Lanedale, we have the option of getting Mohg's Shackle, which I think we might want to if we're going to fight Mohg. The only reason to fight Mohg would be to get to the DLC, because we've already beat Radahn. And so if we want to go to the DLC to get the Arrow Soaring Sting Talisman and possibly Verdigris Discus, I'm not super sold on Verdigris Discus at this point. Even though it means way more defense, it also means like sacrificing the ability to medium roll, or potentially even roll at all, and I'm not so keen on that idea right now. The other reason to get to the DLC is for easy smithing stones, so we might just go and fight Morgott and see how we do. We could always take a quick trip into the sewers to get Mohg's Shackle. Would getting Scorpion Charm be worth it? I don't think so. Because, like, the Scorpion Charms typically, I think it's like Fire, Holy, or Magic that they boost, right? And I don't think that'll do anything for the crossbow.
And thus I shall depart. Farewell. I shall leave. I wish you luck.
Unless you're specifically using Fire or Holy Arrows, at which point I think there are better things to buff you, and you also don't take as much damage. Fire Magic, Holy Lightning. Yeah. I don't think any of those are really going to help us that much. One other thing I would like to do is go to Weeping Peninsula and get the Opaline Bubble Tier mixed physic ingredient at some stage. Like, I think that will be kind of useful. Like, good to have upgrades for the flask that kind of benefit my playstyle outside of the one for the Mohg fight. I don't think Winged Sword Insignia is even going to work, because we'd have to deal a lot of quick damage and, like, quick hits. I don't think that's happening without the pulley crossbow, to be honest. genuinely thought that one was going to hit me, but late rolls are great rolls, apparently. Not going to go up the steps just in case I get ambushed by the guards. Man, I lost lock on and that screwed me over right there. Ow. Ow. Nice. Pretty good. How many more A weapons left? After this, it's 4, I believe. So this is Arbalest, and then it's the Astrologer's Staff, Axe of Godric, Axe of Godfrey, but in the opposite order, actually. And then Azur's Glintstone Staff is the last one. And then it's on to Backhand Blades from the DLC, and the bees begin. Yes, the main weapon this time is a crossbow. Yeah. Hashtag Arbalest. We don't need too much else. We could get more endurance to be able to equip a fuller set of armor. Like, we can't actually wear the Bull Goat's set helmet without being a heavy load right now. In fact, we can't wear any of the other helmets that I have, but the Finger Maiden fillet, and that just makes me look silly. So, maybe we should do it, but, yeah, I kind of like having the character's face and hair out, because you don't always see much of what you do during character creation later in the game. Time to fight this guy. I am quicker on the draw than he is, surprising no one. Nice. So we'll get up the wing. Always nicer doing this when your stamina doesn't deplete because people try and attack you, or you get shot at. Start on Banished Knight's Halberd. Forget how much I hate halberds in Elden Ring. I have not used them all that much, except when we were farming the Albinoric bow. And in that one we used the Cross Naginata for a lot of it, because I felt like it suited the samurai origins of the character. 2.2% of the way through all weapons. Honestly, I'll take it. That's not bad. That doesn't feel too bad when you put it that way. Gonna walk behind this guy. Run through here. Ignore that guy as well. Rest of the Grace. It's always really annoying when you have to waste a bolt on an enemy who's got like that much health left, but is the jellyfish actually a shield? It is, I just don't really block with it. It does have quite a good block though. According to this, it's like 100% physical negation, a decent amount of magic and fire. Like, it probably... I think the problem would be how much stamina it takes to block, but then I have a huge amount of stamina. So I could be blocking with the jellyfish shield more. The problem is, with a crossbow, there's not a whole lot I can do to guard counter, and I think the better way of doing things would just be to stay at range anyway. So the shield is really just here to provide a buff, right? It provides that Contagious Fury buff, which is a pretty decent damage boost. I'm going to grab this Golden Seed and then go rest at the Grace so the Gargoyle resets. Because I don't really feel like fighting the gargoyle with crossbow. What summons am I going to use with this? Honestly, I'm not 100% sure yet. One of my initial strategies was using, like, beast-like summons and making this character more like a Beastmaster Ranger if we wanted to put this in, like, D&D terms. But personally, I think a lot of the better summons in the game are humanoid anyway, so we would be cutting ourselves off from using a lot of quite valuable summons. So I really don't know. Mimic Tier is less likely to be a viable proposition considering that he would also only be able to fire the crossbow, although he would be equipped with the Bull Goat's armor set, which would make him very tanky. So, I don't know, actually. Mimic Tier might not be as bad a suggestion as all that. I might have to take all of my armor off before I fight it, though. But then, yeah, like, it's sort of difficult to say what the best summon choice would be outside of that. Beyond, like, you know, Black Knife Tish or whoever, and I really don't know if I feel like doing the Black Knife Ringleader fight. Because I would be armed only with a crossbow. And you can't summon for that fight, so... Thank you, Chadfree, for just walking into my crossbow bolts. Genuinely not sure what the best element is to use on Golden Phantoms, so I'm just using the explosive bolts. He won't bleed, so there's no point using bleed bolts, obviously. Phantoms are immune to status effects in general, so I feel like physical or just explosive bolts make sense, you know? I don't really know what the advantage to explosive bolts is at this stage, unless it's just a higher area of effect for setting off things like explosive barrels on the occasion where you can use ranged weapons to do that. Like a slightly more reliable area of effect for flame arrows. But they do fire damage, so like... maybe there's slightly more physical damage involved as well, but didn't really seem like that much better against the Erdtree avatar just now. If anyone else is a based crossbow user and would let me know, I would appreciate that. I have naturally done a little bit of research on the wiki about this playstyle, but not enough to really understand everything to its fullest. Him getting stuck behind that pillar is kind of good, but obviously he has ways of getting around that, so... Honestly, this has been pretty smooth so far. No unpleasant surprises from Godfrey. Jump shots really aren't as effective with the crossbow as they are with the bow, though. Obviously, with the bow, they happen faster. And you can knock an arrow when you jump shot. That is our 4th talisman pouch, finally, which is great. This guy's the first Elden Lord, but you also fight the first Elden Lord again later. This is just an aspect of him. Yeah, so there's a lot of places in which bosses show up multiple times, and there are canonical reasons for it to happen that way. I I like to think that this Godfrey is just like a shade of his power that he's left behind to protect the capital as like a first line of defense, for which Morgott is kind of the last line of defense. I mean, the first line of defense after all of the soldiers and the Erdtree avatar and everything else that's in the capital, right? But, yeah, I like to think that Godfrey has left some of his essence here to safeguard the capital somewhat while he's away. Yeah, Golden Shade or whatever. So, Morgott. Morgott is next. And I feel like Morgott's resistances don't really favor any specific kind of damage. I mean, maybe, I guess he bleeds. So maybe we'll go for, like, fire arrows and bleed arrows. Or maybe magic. I don't know what his resistances really are, but then we'll be helping... We'll have Melina helping us with this fight anyway. Oh, Morgott's weak to lightning. Okay, well, maybe we'll put lightning arrows on then, because I've got plenty of those. Lightning bolts, rather. It seems weird calling them lightning bolts, to be quite honest, but... Here's something else I am not looking forward to. So we're going to try and cheese it slightly. We're going to try and go around the Black Knife Assassin who is here. Otherwise, we could just run for the Grace. But yeah, my goal here is to sneak around this one. Excuse me. Oh, okay. I think they might have patched that, because that's a trick I learned from the speedrun. And, yeah, they're not letting me do it, so... Just going to rest once they flip themselves away. There we go. Cool. So now we're at Morgott. I will probably quickly head back to Mohg Palace and shoot 1 or 2 birds so that we have enough runes to ditch the amount that we've got. The assassin can't stand on the bed? Oh, interesting. So you could always avoid them that way, I guess, but... Let's quickly put this on. And two-hand the crossbow so we can free aim. And then still miss because the ballistics here are tricky. Like, it's genuinely... The bolt is a little bit delayed. And it doesn't react the same way that a bow does, and I'm so thrown by that because I've been using a bow basically every other time I've come here that I miss more often than not with bolts when I'm fighting the birds down here. I got into a decent rhythm of it whilst I was farming runes between streams, but I honestly far prefer using a bow. Let's continue to level endurance because it gets me stamina and it also gets me more equip load. Still can't wear any of the helmets without being heavy, but one of these days. And so from here, at the Queen's Bedchamber, we will go and see Morgott. And so lightning is going to be our weapon of choice. Yeah, I was considering Iron Jar Aromatic. I was also considering Blood Boil Aromatic instead of Flame Grant Me Strength, because it lasts longer and gets you a bigger buff, but it also, I think, reduces your damage resistance, so that may have been a reason not to. Let's add the Arrow's Reach Talisman just so we can shoot him from a little further away. We have Melina to summon for this, and I'm going to do my buff routine before we get in here, just to... make sure that we got something going on before we get this cutscene.
Graceless, tarnished. What is thy business with these thrones? Ah, Godric the Golden. the twin prodigies, Mikola and Melania. General Radahn, Praetor Rykard, Luna Princess Rani.
I got to the point in Shenpai and RT's randomizer where they were at the Morgott fight, and they were seeing all of these chairs and like listing off the bosses that they'd actually already fought, and then
Thy kind
Morgott's cutscene ended and it was Magma Worm. It was so good. It was like Magma Worm Makar, so it was like Makar the Omen King. It was really funny.
pillagers, emboldened by the flame of ambition.
The other amazing thing was when they went back to rematch Grafted Scion, and their Grafted Scion was Godskin Apostle. And then they killed Godskin Apostle, and then Godskin Noble spawned, and it turned out to be the fight with the snail in the one cave you go to, where it spawns them in order, and then you have to kill the snail. And that was like the funniest twist. I love that so much. By watching the randomizer via the Twitch VODs, the VODs channel that Shen has is where I'm finding it. Melina, get in here and draw aggro, please. I can't take too much more of this guy and his hammer. Although the lightning is doing pretty well, so thanks for that tip. This already feels somehow more viable than the bow runs we've done. Although maybe I'm just more on it today than I was for those. Oh, missed him that time. I need to get my FP back so that I can do more Contagious Fury. I'm not going to do the full buff stack again because it takes a lot more FP than I feel like it's really viable to use. I'm also getting a little better at dodging that spear attack. I'll only say a little better for now because I mean, I couldn't be entirely confident about that. Stormhawk Dean for the aura buff.
Thy part in this shall not be forgiven.
I guess this part of the fight, the arena is kind of covered in water anyway, so I guess that's why lightning does a little extra, right? Get him, Dean! It's so funny to see him, like, spear Melania like that. Or Melina, rather. Sorry. Well, there goes the Stormhawk. This looks like it's going to work, though. Melina's going down easy, but definitely played her role well. We get a little bit of extra counterattack damage, and we are good. Alright, Morgott, not bad, not bad. Let's go get the Erdtree heal real quick. Very nice.
Tarnished. Not but a fool.
No problem, GG's.
The Erdtree wards off all who deign approach. We are all forsaken.
Shout out to Morgott for being a real one. Like, genuinely, what a good character. Nice work. Hey, thank you, Devious Decoy. Welcome in. Not bad for crossbow only. Plus a couple of summons, obviously, but we get it done. I think it's really funny that the Erdtree heal was supposed to be the spell that you get in the DLC, but then they had to resize the Erdtree that appears because there was performance issues with it using it in the open world. I think maybe also in multiplayer.
Prevented the thorns, a husk, the only way, and become my purpose. So I'd like to the flame then and guide you.
All right. That's the rolled medallion claimed. We have this that we can crush for a few more runes, which I think I'll do because we are so close to another level up. Yeah, Melina's spell is the minor Erdtree DLC spell, yeah. So if we wanted to, we could potentially add in the Arsenal charm or the Jarsenal. But I think I might aim for 60 endurance anyway. We're going to take a quick detour to the sewers. Because now we've beat Morgott, I'm wondering if we have a chance at Mohg. But if we want to have a chance at Mohg, the Shackle is going to be somewhat helpful in getting us out of sticky situations, at least in Phase 1. Obviously in Phase 2, there's not a whole lot we can do, but... Also, there's a spare rune arc down here. And honestly, getting Morgott's Great Rune, it means fighting Fell Twins, but would not be a bad thing, considering it just gives us a ton of health. The alternative, I suppose, is Radahn's Great Rune, which also wouldn't be a bad thing, because extra FP for Contagious Fury, extra stamina. Would not be too bad. Also, don't know if Radahn's thing boosts stamina specifically, or if it boosts endurance generally, because if it does, then that might also make the armor set a bit more viable. I don't know. Listening to the audio when he skips the dialogue sounds like someone saying a really odd sentence. Yeah. I make fun of it occasionally. Melina being like, then, and guide you. Godric's would be better than Radahn's at the moment, considering where the stats are at. I mean, in theory, yes, but when you consider that so much of the other stuff, like the Faith, the Arcane, the Strength, all of that stuff, like, isn't really doing anything, I think that the amount of HP, FP, and stamina you get from Radahn's Great Rune amounts to more than 5 in each stat, so I think Godric's Rune would honestly be sort of superfluous. The only way I can imagine it being slightly worthwhile is if the extra boost in strength gives me a bit of a boost to physical resistance. But then I feel like the HP you get from Radahn is going to be doing that anyway, so like, I don't know, man. If we really wanted to get into the buff stacking stuff, we could go through here, get the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, get Seppuku, like, all of that stuff, but I don't know if we really want to do that. I'll settle for just having Mohg Shackle for now. Radance boosts stamina, not endurance. Right, yeah, so you'd only be getting a boost to the green bar, not, like, your equipment load and stuff. But honestly, I think the equipment load thing, like, we have way more endurance than I would normally have anyway. Like, maybe you'd get a little extra out of Godric's rune. But then, the other thing, right, is, do I really want that? Because if I lose the Great Rune, if I die, in whatever circumstances, like I could die falling off a cliff, like an unavoidable death, then, we end up at the point where I can't, like, wear my helmet. Like, I have to take my helmet off again. I'd much rather shoot for the endurance as, like, a full-on goal, or equip a talisman that increases my equip load. I think by the time we get to Malekith, we're going to need a summon. Because obviously there are no default NPC summons for Malekith. So we're going to need some help anyway. And then we're also going to need something for Radagon. So I'm trying to think about what we should do. I don't know which one I have in mind. Like, I read recently, like, a ranking on the Elden Ring wiki of Spirit Ashes. Mimic Tier is at the top because it obviously completely duplicates the player's equipment, so it is as OP as you are. But in this case, it means it is as low-powered as I am as well. So that's a concern I have. When it comes to Black Knife Tish, she's probably the best summon outside of Mimic Tier, but that involves going and beating Electo, which is a difficult fight, and that involves doing basically all of Rani's quest, which is a major diversion from the route I actually need to take with this character. Then there's a few that are relatively easy to get and relatively decent in certain circumstances, but might not be the best for fights like Malekith and Radagon, because Radagon is very aggressive, Malekith has Destined Death, and they both have a variety of attacks that come from different directions, so, like, Great Shield Soldiers is not going to be great against Radagon when he starts, like, spamming the attacks that turn the ground gold and then everything explodes, right? So the question is, are we fighting Fell Twins, or are we going to Caelid for the Great Rune? Because Fell Twins is through there. I'll go and get the Forbidden Lands Grace first. We have to prioritize time against efficiency. I know. It's tricky. I think Rani's quest wouldn't be too difficult. Like, getting through Nokron is easy. Getting through Ainsel River and the Lake of Rot isn't too difficult, and then we'd only have to fight Astel, Natural Born of the Void, and I suppose at that point we have to fight, like, Baleful Spirit as well, but I find Baleful Spirit often gets, like, caught on the coffins that are down there, so that's not, like, as big of a deal. Yeah, Astel wouldn't be too difficult with the crossbow, I don't think. Like, ranged Astel, I probably don't mind too much. Shout out to the Knights Cavalry once again. I bet there's a way of baiting that one into jumping off a cliff somewhere. I just don't want to do it. I also don't want to fight Blackblade Kindred, so we're not going to do that here too. That's just too much of a pain. This should be our 4th Golden Seed, though, which means we'll probably be able to get another Flask upgrade next time we reach a Grace, which we will up here by the Rolled Lift. Still so happy that that boss is optional. Beat Astel my first playthrough in 2 attempts using Latenna as a summon. Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun when you can just pop Latenna down as a turret and go ham. That's how I beat Radagon on my first bow playthrough. Alright, we're at least in Forbidden Lands, which means, among other things, access to a few more upgrade materials. Although we shouldn't really need the, we don't need the Smithing Stone 6s anymore. So I won't bother going through Zamor Ruins for that. I'm thinking about the other stuff that I know is on the way to Fire Giant, but I feel like the stuff I know is up here is like Somber Smithing Stones, not the regular kind. So I'm not sure where we could get other Smithing Stones. We do get the other 2 Flask upgrades here, though, so that might be useful when if we want to head back and fight Mohg. Which I'm genuinely considering doing because the Smoldering Butterflies, yeah. The Arrow's Soaring Sting Talisman stacks with the Arrow's Sting Talisman, which would mean a bunch of extra damage from having both, and also the added benefit of the other arrow talisman that I have equipped that gives you, like, less of a damage drop-off over long range. One of my favorite weapons to use just in general. I like anything that attacks, like, up close and fast. So, like, the fist weapons were really fun. But then, the Anvil Hammer has probably been my favorite playthrough we've done so far. Second only to, the second being Ancient Meteoric Ore Greatsword. So both of those are colossal weapons, which I just never used before this, so I genuinely didn't think I would take to them the way that I have. But I've never just done, like, the massive damage colossal weapon builds. I always found those really slow. So I feel like opposite playstyles almost now appeal to me, where I like stuff like the fist weapons, but I also really like, the colossal weapons too. Safe to say that my least favorite weapons on these runs have been bows and crossbows, but I think it's also fun to challenge yourself with these playstyles and still perfectly viable. Like, we've gotten through a good chunk of the game this way, albeit with the assistance of summons, but there have been very few runs that we haven't needed the assistance of summons. Like, I think the colossal weapons were genuinely the only ones that I didn't need to summon for Radagon. Like, I never bothered with the Mimic Tier for either of them because, like, a Mimic Tier with the Anvil Hammer would have absolutely crushed. Like, I probably would have been able to AFK that fight, more or less. Alright, wake up, you. Time to smash a statue, innit? Also have a massive preference for the small, fast weapons. They feel so much more fluid. Yeah, like, it's... especially with, like, the Spiked Cestus having bleed and having a really decent, like, jumping R2 that you can get a ton of poise damage and stagger enemies. Like, it feels like you have so many options. Whereas I feel like a lot of the, like, mid-range swords and whatnot, you can only really attack a couple of different ways. How did that miss this statue? Come on, dude. You are slacking here. Just fully ran into that one. My man. Alright, let's go. Yeah, the jumping R2 is in, I think the Clone Wars, or Attack of the Clones, whichever one he's, like, fully CG in. It would be really funny if when you jump R2 in this game, it goes, woo! It does, like, the little, like, scream that he does. I can't do it. My voice is too deep. Alright, here's Borealis, who we're definitely not going to fight with a crossbow. Are you kidding me? Even with flame arrows. R.I.P. Kenny Baker? I know, right? Call Ollie or Sausage for the voice. Yeah. I think I still get comments on the short I did where I'm telling everybody how many sculpt catalysts there are under their bases in Empires. Like, I still get comments like telling me that Ollie makes the R2-D2 sound at the end. And I'm like, I know, I was there. Alright, that didn't really work for us, did it? I was trying to go through and get the sneaky items, and those two dogs are just fully in the way of Torrent. I'm basically making a beeline for the fight with Okina at this point, because if we can get that out of the way and get the last sacred tier, then we have maxed out flasks. We have 12, which is pretty standard. Like, I don't tend to go the full 14 on any of these, typically. I always forget what's in here as well, like this, like, Fire Monk's garrison. Like, I can't remember if there's, like, a specific weapon in there or a incantation or something, but at this point, it feels like such an afterthought. Can't recall. I don't think it was super important. Yeah, I don't think it was hugely necessary. I think there's like a couple of cookbooks in there, maybe. Something like that. There might be one or two weapons that we need to get from there, or that's like just a good spot to farm the Fire Monk stuff in general, because they're all outside. I know those guys have all of the Briar sorceries that they do, but I think the more powerful of those ones was just back by the bridge where the Golem Archer fires at you. Alright, well, here's Okina. Let's see if this guy bleeds. Sure be ironic if he does, right? Nice. Okay, we can get some pretty decent interrupts if we just wait for him to come up and start attacking. We just have to be ready to tank Rivers of Blood, which is not an attractive prospect. Alright, one more Bleed Bolt. No, I think he had too long at that point. Yeah, there we go. Good fight. Clean. Got me there at the end, but that was honestly the easiest NPC fight we've had, and it's mostly because he commits to attacks and has a bit of a stance he does before you get hit by anything, so... Whew, okay, right. Let's think. What can we do here? Do we want to go fight Mohg? Mohg or Fire Giant? Do we move on? Do we move back? And what else can I acquire that will help me in the meantime? I'm going to go and fight the Tree Spirit on Weeping Peninsula so that we can get the Opal and Bubble Tier. Mohg is going to be super tough, I think. See, the thing is, as long as I'm okay avoiding his attacks, we can just go end to end in the arena and shoot at him from range. He's only really a problem close up, but he does get a lot of those like ranged attacks in phase 2 that could be an issue, and he flies around a lot, which is difficult for catching him at range and staying like maneuverable. So that I'm kind of concerned about, but okay, there we go. Oh, wrong flask. Okay, cool. I think we go and get Radahn's Great Rune. Crimson Burst, I think, also gives you a bonus to max HP, but I don't think it lasts very long. I think, yeah, we're going to go and get Radahn's Great Rune. We're going to go fight Mohg and see how well we do. Maybe consider a summon. But then that's going to require a bit of Glovewalk collection and bits and pieces. So we'll start with this plan. I can't remember if we have a Smithing Stone 8, right? Yeah, okay. So we got the ones that were up there. I think there might be a couple of other Smithing Stones around Caelid that we could get. That might boost the Arbalest by another level. Like, I can't remember if they're down here or not. I think the other thing about Mohg is that he has a lot of health. So I'm wondering if fighting him is going to be tricky because we'll just run out of bolts. But I think we'll probably run out of health before that. Somber 9, Rune Arc, and Stone Sword Key? Oh no, Arterial Leaf, that's it. As the other stuff we can get buffs from as consumables, but a lot of those are body buffs, and we already have Flame Grant Me Strength for that. Blood Boil Aromatic would be the only other alternative. Is there a limit to how many bolts you can carry? 99 at a time, and the maximum you can have in storage is 600. That gets refreshed every time you rest at a grace. Nice try. Yeah, 99 on you, 600 in the bag. But then you can't get more bolts mid-fight is the main problem with that. So the only alternative you have is to... There we go. Yeah, the only alternative you have is to either craft a bunch more bolts of the same type or switch to some bolts of a different type. And it's not especially easy in the middle of a long, drawn-out fight. Is using throwing pots viable? Depends on the enemy. Like, I think it might be as an addition to the stuff that we've got here. Like, other thrown weapons might also work quite well, but I haven't, like, set up this build with that in mind, you know? Yeah, we could use rot and poison pots and stuff. I think the difficulty with rot especially is that the crafting ingredients for it are limited. Like, they don't allow you to have a very renewable source of scarlet rot stuff, so you have to be very particular about when you use it. You could craft rot bone crossbow bolts, but that's kind of the same thing, right? Like, if we wanted to, we could try using rot and poison on Mohg, but that would also require me being able to stay alive, too. Whereas a lot of the other bolts we can just go and buy, and I like that. I like renewable stuff in this game. Like, I'm not really the... not really the biggest fan of stuff that you could only use once. Extends the battle a lot when you need to wait for damage over time. Yes, yes. So this is Radahn's Great Rune. Fights are already super long, it would actually make it faster. And that's decent logic, I'll give you that. I don't know exactly where the crafting recipes for Rotbone bolts are. I assume somewhere in Caelid. Like, it's probably a merchant somewhere. But this guy down here is the guy who sells you the fire bolts, so I should probably go and see him just to top up. Hey, man.
Trade again.
There we go, Rotbone bolt. Okay, so we'll buy that, and we'll buy these. And that's us topped up with those. We'll make sure to buy some regular bolts as well. What are we still lacking, ammo-wise? Okay, we got 99 of everything. We need some more meteor bolts, some more lightning. We don't have a ton of the explosive ones, and the bird bolts are running a little low. But outside of that, we're not doing too badly. I suppose the question is now, do we want to try and get, like, Mimic Tier or somebody who can help us summon-wise? Because in terms of summons, I have Skeletal Militiaman, Lone Wolf, Spirit Jellyfish, and Stormhawk Dean, none of whom are going to be especially helpful in the Mohg fight. Mohg is weak against bleed, but obviously he also gets a buff to his damage from bleed because he automatically has an effect like Lord of Blood's Exaltation. Being the Lord of Blood, it makes sense. Yeah, Great Shield Skeletons are okay. I don't know how they do against Mohg. But then, I guess they are kind of tanky, and they might be immune to bleed if they're skeletons. Let's go and get some stuff from Nokron anyway, because I will need to upgrade some summons. And at the very least, the bell bearing for the first 2 Gloveworts is down here. So we should probably go do it. Maybe hunting for black key bolts may be somewhat useful. Yeah, I know you get some from Riley the Idol, who's the Volcano Manor assassination we have right now. Crossbow versus crossbow might be kind of rough, but we could always switch to a melee weapon just to get that fight done a little easier. I haven't opened Round Table Hold's little lower dungeon bit to get the 20 or so that are down there. And I can't remember where the rest of them are. I think some of them might be in like Deep Root Depths or somewhere awkward to get to. But again, that's a limited supply of stuff, so that's again a little frustrating, a little awkward. We also don't have unlimited access to beast bones yet, aside from just farming enemies, or farming animals rather, so we might have to fight the bell-bearing hunter. Picked up a minor foot wound there. $20 in the low level round table hold, 20 from Riding the Idol, 20 above Celia Gateway, that's easy enough. Fortified Mana. And then Lake of Rot. Oh, okay, Lake of Rot is the one that's probably the hardest out of those then. Fortified Mana we have access to already. And it's basically the carbon copy of the round table hold. There's our Ghost Glovewort 3. So I think if we're summoning anything, we want to be summoning elites, right? Like, we want to be able to summon something that's a Ghost Glovewort upgrade. So here's the 1 and 2 bell bearing anyway. That guy was determined, yes. And I determined that he would be easy to kill. These guys are at least easily avoided. So we have Glovewort 3s from over here. Great Shield Soldiers from over here. Okay, she's the difficult one. Never mind that guy. Now, This is going to be an annoying fight. If we don't take off absolutely everything. Like armor, shield. We're back to our wretch origins. Oh, hang on. Wrong way around. This way. And then this way. Hang on, hang on. What are you doing? What are you doing? That one sent my shot wide. So much blood, dude. I didn't want to leave him with the full Bull Goat's armor set because that would have been so annoying to try and whittle down, so we're doing this the old-fashioned way. No worries, Ginger. Have a good one. Thanks for hanging out today. Wasting a surprising amount of bleed bolts just because every time he hits me with anything, it throws off my crossbow. Nice. There we go. We'll get him with fire for the rest of these. Welcome back, Maybonix. Alright, that's the Mimic tier. All done with that. We'll get this going again. So now we're free to go and get the Mimic tier Ashes. And I wonder how useful it's going to be having the Mimic tier Ashes when we've got this full armor set and he can tank pretty well. That's my train of thought right now. Is let him tank. He won't last for nearly as long as he would if we had a decent weapon, but we'll go and grab this. Because that's Ghost Glove Walk 4. So now we have at least 1 through 4 covered. I know where to get 5 from Shifra River. I forget which one it is we need to go to Mount Gelmir for, but I think it's 6 or 7. And then 8 through 10 is all in Mohg Palace. I think I already have them. Ah, a fellow crossbow user, I see. One of these days I'll learn to just run past these two, but for some reason... This is the run where we fight all the NPC enemies, despite the crossbow being an absolutely abysmal weapon to do this with. Luckily, these two are committed enough to their fighting style that they really don't roll as much. And point blank with a crossbow is pretty good. Alright, we got that. Mimic Tear is just through here. Really put yourself in a corner there, love. Seems familiar. All right. Trying to think if there's anything else we can really get from down here. I guess we'll at least get the Grace. That way if we come back through here for Rani, then we'll have the Grace down here. It'll be simple enough to walk to this. Save some time, yeah. Yeah, totally. Back to Ancestral Woods. We can jump down to get to Shifra River. Or at least to Dragonkin Soldier, which is where we need to be to get the Glovewort anyway. It's a fun little path that I don't take too often, so it's kind of fun doing this bit. So if we go down here, ignore all of the ancestral followers, hop down onto this parade of columns, a little bit of damage, nothing too bad. Some more birds here if you ever want to farm resources. I think there's even a couple of like stone sword keys or smithing stones or something down here, but we can hop onto the wall. Take a little bit more fall damage, unfortunately, but I think that should be it for full damage. Drop down here. Drop down onto one of the pillars, maybe, and then hop down to the floor. We get this and that for our efforts. Not that the smithing stone 2 is super helpful at this stage. But then out here... is it there we can hop down to the statue, or is it round this way? Yeah. You drop down to this little platform, and then from here we hop onto this headless statue, ride down the pillar, and we're right by Dragonkin Soldier. So I've not actually taken the elevator to Shifra River yet. So this is a bit of a back way into this area. What are the A to Z rules? When can we stop using this abominable weapon? Once we've used it to defeat Radagon and the Elden Beast. The general rule is we beat the game, but not like all remembrances, not the DLC as well, just roll credits on base game. See the ending cutscene. George R. R. Martin, we did it. And then, yeah, then on to the Astrologer's Staff, which is a playthrough I'm going to be doing with Zloy XP, who is my co-writer, collaborator on the Hermitcraft recap, and has been a good friend for a little while. He and I have done a seamless co-op run before, and he hasn't played the DLC yet, so I decided for the Astrologer's Stuff I want to do a playthrough where I get every sorcery in the game, including DLC, and that gives him an opportunity to catch up on the DLC stuff. Right. I think with the ability to get +5. I think we're good there for now. I think we need to go up Seathwater River. Is it Seathwater Terminus? I'm trying to think how we get to... Oh no, maybe it's up the ladder. I'm thinking of the other one. How's the Arbalest going today? It's going pretty well. We are up to mountaintops, so we could go and fight Fire Giant anytime. I'm considering trying to fight Mohg first, and so I'm leveling up a summon, and it's probably going to be the Mimic tier for now. I'm leveling up a summon to try and run interference on the Mohg fight so that we can get into the DLC and get a couple of other talismans that are really helpful for this build. And then, yeah, after that we'll go try Fire Giant. Whether we are successful with Mohg or not. Mimsy, is that the local nickname? Hey, Koifish, welcome in. Love to see that quiver of arrows completely full as well. The crossbow bolts, rather. It's like... really helps you feel like the character is well prepared. Which I think we are at this stage. Like, aside from maybe adding in the... Bullgoat's helm for this, I think we're pretty well set up as the crossbow-toting champion that we want to be. Mimsy the Mimic, yeah. Alright, heading on down. So yeah, we managed to first try Morgott, but that was also thanks to having Melania... Every time I say Melina. Curse these developers and naming every character the same thing. Yeah, we had Melina as a distraction. We might want to complete Nefeli Lu's questline so that we have her as a distraction for the Horaloo fight. But we'll also have the Mimic tier as an option there as well. And then, yeah, after this we'll see. My crossbow bolts are not best set up for this because I have bleed on one and flame on the other, and the skeleton is neither flammable nor especially bleedy. And it's really difficult to crossbow shoot skeletons when you can't, like, target them because they're on the floor. But we all manage. Being stabbed repeatedly by this one. There we go. Speaking of crossbows, actually, there's some notorious crossbow users down here who we're going to have to contend with in a second. Not that guy. Not that guy either. Instead, it's this guy. Doesn't even bleed that fast. There we go. Thank you. Oh, of course, he gives me a different type of bow that I can't use. Delightful. Notorious BOW. Good. This also isn't the glovewort we're looking for. Neither is the one at the back there. It's actually that one. Hey, man. Well, he did it to himself. Okay, wonderful. We have a Ghost Glovewort 7. I can't remember where I get the 6 from. But that's something else we need to worry about. Here comes the chariot. Swinging low as usual. Oh god, oh god, oh god. Whoop! At least that was the skeleton dying, not me. Fortunately, we have a ton of vigor, and this armor does make you exceptionally tanky, so we can actually survive a hit from one of these things. The ammo count would stress you out. I mean, it stressed me out on numerous occasions. I have done 2 bow-focused runs so far, so that has actually helped with understanding what we need in terms of ammo management and conservation, and making sure that you know where to acquire more ammo. Expected that to be an instant kill. Thank you, Bullgoat's armor, baby. Yeah, ammo replenishes when you rest as long as you have bought enough. Like, you have a supply of 600 that you can't carry with you but remain in a chest that you can pick up whenever you rest at a grace. You can carry up to 99 of each type of ammo with you, but there's no maximum limit on that except as many bolts as there are times 99. So we can very easily get more. Now, what do I have in terms of glovewort? So we can buy 1s and 2s. We've got 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Where do we get 6 from? Let me briefly look this up, because there's a place that I think I get it from on most playthroughs, and I just can't remember right now. If I go glovewort 6. Ghost Glovewort 6, not Grave Glovewort 6. Winden Catacombs. Or as a Hero's Grave, Deep-Root Depths, All Palace Ruins, Noxtella, Shunning Grounds. Where do we get one from Shunning Grounds? I think Winden Catacombs is the one that I get. I think that's the one that I get, because that's easy enough to get to from Erdtree Gazing Hill. Yeah. No, I've done this one before, I remember. So, from up here, we head up through these ruins. I think I've already been this way and I haven't fought the Tibia Mariner. Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Is it over this way? Where is the door? The door over here? Around this corner? Yeah, there we go. Yikes. Slightly scary, but we made it. Playing Baldur's Gate 3, hoarding potions, you hardly ever use them, because what if I really need it some other time? That's all RPGs. Like, genuinely all RPGs. Consumable items, you just end up hoarding them. Quickly lock and load for this. So it's not that flower in the ground there. Oh, of course the guillotine is right there. Why are these things so difficult to hit? Absolute garbage, dude. There we go. Way harder than it should have been. So that's Grave Glovewort. They're dodging by throwing pots. I know, it's, yeah, horrendous. Okay, more Grave Glovewort. We run in, we get this. We run out. Mad respect for your SOS hold. This is a lot of work. The hold was... what was it, like 3 or 4 months of my life, basically? Worth it, though. Ow. Do you mind? Oh yeah, not that way. This way. Okay, so we can now go to round table holds and upgrade the Mimic tier. One other thing I really need to get used to doing, one thing you can do, is use the Pure Blood Knight's Medal, the thing that you use to warp to Mohg Palace, just to get you out of like any situation at any time. I think I really need to do that. Now we need to go to the Twin Maiden Husks just to make sure that we have...
I wonder if he's in his stud. If you haven't, all father is, I'm sure, to. Isabel, I'll see you again.
Just to make sure that she's all set. Offer these, the Ghost Form Picker's Bell Bearing, which is weirdly renamed. And we have those two, so now we should be able to completely upgrade the Mimic tier.
Good to see. I have you to. I can have. I'm as yet. But, and if there's, well, I certain Roderica.
Not that one. This one. This costs so much to level up all the way, too. Like, I genuinely don't have enough.
Oh, don't pay me, just lay out you.
I think I'll be able to get to like +8, and then that'll be it.
You here for spirit?
Yeah, okay, cool. So we'll need to go and shoot 3 more birds. And then we'll have a Mimic tier, and then we can try and fight Mohg. Your first playthrough, you defeated Mohg just an hour ago. Nice! Congrats! Mohg's a difficult fight. Depending on your setup, obviously, but... oh, come on. I need to not be wasting those bolts either, because they're the more expensive ones. Eat it. There we go. Just about got that on in time. It's so weird how, because the crossbow fires arrows so straight, the cliff gets in the way much more than it does with a bow. It's a little rough. Okay, 2 birds should do it, though. Ah, right. Back to this nonsense, back to this garbage.
Greet, are you here for...
And a fully upgraded Mimic tier is ours. That's good. Okay, we're going to try and fight Mohg. Currently exploring the beautiful British landscape in Fallout London. Nice. So this is going to be a really interesting challenge. I think... Oh, steadily restores HP for a time, that's it. I think we'll go in with Opaline Bubble tier and Purifying Crystal tier, because we'll definitely need one, and we might need the other. Well, the other couldn't hurt, at least. In terms of bolts... I know that Mohg is vulnerable to bleed. He's probably not vulnerable to fire. So I think... like... maybe like regular bolts, maybe lightning, maybe the magic ones... Left with him killing Big Bird one stream, now joined with him killing Big Bird. It's fine, we're going to do more than that now. But I need to swap out this for that. I need to swap out Stormhawk for... Actually, I'm going to take Stormhawk off the carousel entirely and put Mimic Tier on the pouch, because I'm used to summoning from the pouch. Can you get poison? It's certainly possible. I don't think any of the vendors sell poison bolts, so I'd have to craft them myself. Or there's a limited supply of rot bolts that you can find elsewhere, but I currently don't have any of those. Yes, I remember to equip the Mohg tier. So, we're going to go in like this. I'm going to Golden Vow. Flame grant me strength. Switch back to this. Contagious Fury. Walk in. And summon Mimic tier. Oh yeah, we do have Mohg Shackle as well, but I can equip that in a second. We'll equip that whilst Mimic tier is spawning in. I'm not going to skip the cutscene because I use these as thumbnails when I make the YouTube VOD of this, so I will have a little bit more choice if I leave this to run. My first time fighting Mohg with a crossbow. Let's see how this goes. I don't think I've even fought him in any of the bow-only runs, because we didn't need to fight him for the Albinauric bow, and for Ansbach's bow, we had to get to the DLC quickly, so I fought him with Bloodhound's Fang. And I couldn't have fought him with the bow that was part of the run anyway. They're also too well done to simply skip them. I mean, I'd skip them for time if I had to, but... right now I don't have to, I've got the time.
Dearest Mikola. You must abide alone a while.
Yeah, I've got time.
Welcome, honored guest, to the birthplace of our dynasty.
Let's do this. I'm in my bubble. Let's put up Mohg's Shackle on here. There we go. Let's see if we can get a little bit of an advantage. We also have ritual swords, so probably a good idea to make sure that we're at full health when we can be. And we managed to tank thanks to that. Okay, you got a decent bleed. Probably because the Mimic tier is using bleed bolts as well. Really got to get used to how delayed his attacks are. Okay, this is the part where the fight becomes more dangerous. Because his attack patterns turn into that. But obviously, whilst he's, like, walking towards us menacingly like this, we can get a decent amount of damage on him. Probably need to re-up Contagious Fury. I don't think we're getting a ton of damage out of bleed now, but... Oh, 2,000's not bad. Yeah, now all of his attacks basically have tons of, like, blood flame effects thrown in there, so we need to wait for Mimic to start aggroing again. Ow. Keep going, Mimic. You can do it. Are Mohg's wings even part of his hitbox? That's the main question I have. Okay, now he's all the way down here. We can run back. Get like 1,000 or so damage on him when he's at range. Yeah, there we go. We just kite him end to end like this. Contagious Fury. Yeah, we can't shoot him in the wings, it looks like. Alright. 2 more? 2 more. Good fight. Good fight. Mimic tier absolutely carries.
The coming of our dynasty. Morgott.
We'll do it. We'll do it. Decent amount of runes. There's Leda or Leda. Every time, dude. Every time I get her name wrong. We'll get those. Can I equip any helmet now? Oh, we're getting there. We're getting close. We can equip the scaled helm now, which is Old Knight Istvan's helmet. If we want to look like this. Bullgoat's helm is like 5 units heavier than this, so it's going to take a little extra, but hey, what's up?
I'm Leda. Touch the withered up to the realm of my compatriot like us, if you can find.
Alright, let's go to the DLC for literally like 1 talisman, but it's worth it for a ranged build. Like, it's one of the only things that is worth going here for a ranged build. Oh, yeah, also we can pop Mohg's Remembrance, because what are we going to use it for otherwise? Heck yeah, dude. We made it. Obviously, we're pretty OP with just a crossbow. Right, so Gravesite Plain. We need to get to Fog Rift Fort, so we're crossing the bridge to Castle Ensis, going down through the... Still heavy, but not too much further, I don't think. Also, that is 55 endurance. My goodness. Also, we didn't ever equip Radahn's Great Runes, so we managed to do that without any of the Great Rune stuff. Not going to worry about the map, because I know where we're going. I think we'll probably just hotfoot it to the first cross. Oh, let's not do Gaius. Let's absolutely not do Gaius. No, I have no intention of doing Gaius. We're going to get the Arrow's Soaring Sting Talisman, not the Sharpshooter. Because, honestly, I don't free aim enough for the Sharpshooter to even be worth it. And I don't want to go around collecting Shadow Tree fragments the entire time, so... I hated Gaius, that wasn't a fun battle. It wasn't too bad when I've done it, but, yeah, he, like, knocked me around a couple of times. Just gonna rest here to make sure that the, Furnace Golem resets, but I don't think it's coming after me anyway. We're not even gonna talk to any of the NPCs, because there's no need. Also, fun thing, with a crossbow, we're actually able to activate all of the explosive barrels in Fog Rift Fort, so we should be able to dispose of the soldiers for once instead of having to deal with them individually. So we're only going to spend maybe like 10 minutes here in the DLC. Unless we die over and over again or something. Oh, having said that, though, I did say that there were a couple of really good spots to get hold of smithing stones, so we might do that. And that way we can get the Arbalest upgraded nice and quickly. But that's going to be awkward. Because we'll probably need to get some fragments for that. Just to make the fight easier. Because there's a golem that you can... oh, not a golem, a troll that you can kill near the back entrance to Castle Ensis, who drops like 8 or 9, I think, smithing stone 8s, which is really good before Farum Azula. Only problem is we have to get good enough to actually take down the troll, which fragments would help with. Yeah, the DLC had a lot of smithing stones just because it's a ton of new weapons. And so, yeah, they give you upgrade materials for all of those weapons, which a lot of people would argue is kind of pointless because by the time you enter the DLC, a lot of people have done enough of the base game to buy a lot of smithing stones. But to be real with you guys, I had not ever bothered to buy smithing stones from the Round Table Hold until I started doing these runs. Like, I always found them in-game. I never bothered getting the bell bearing and doing that, because most of the time, like, I wanted to be upgraded before I got into the trickier areas of the game, like Farum Azula. And you don't get the Somber or the Smithing Stone 7 and 8 bell bearing until you fight Godskin Duo, at which point there's only a couple of bosses left, and I kind of wanted to be done before that. What's the next weapon on the list? Astrologer's Staff. So that is the starting gear for the Astrologer. So to make it more interesting and fun, I wanted to do a run where we get all of the sorceries in the game, so all of the spells that you needed the Astrologer's Staff or any staff to cast. And so we're going to go through the entire game, including the DLC, and get all of the astrology sorceries as we go. And we're going to be doing that as a seamless co-op run with Zloy XP, who I do the Hermitcraft recap with, because we played a seamless co-op run a while back just for fun when we played the base game, and it was his first time playing the base game. This will be his first time playing the DLC. The Astrologer run will be cheesy. I mean, all of them are going to be cheesy in some form or another. Like, I tend to try and get OP in whatever ways I can when it comes to these playthroughs, because, like, that's the thing that's fun for me, is finding out what can be absolutely broken about specific builds. But, like, the Astrologer's Staff run is going to be cheesy, but, like, we're just going to be spamming spells at range, but that's just what you do as an Astrologer. That's the build. That's the class, you know? You don't really have to do... You don't really have the option to do much else. Come on, get up there. Never mind. Just around the corner anyway. What happened? My computer just crashed. It's fine. So we'll grab this. Use what spells work best for the situation at hand. Cheese is best. I mean, it's not even cheese if that's, like, the intended playstyle, I feel like, you know? Like, I feel like cheese is like, yeah, if you stand somewhere that the enemy can't hit you, you, like, exploit whatever it is about the environment that is going to get you an advantage in battle or whatever, then sure, that's cheese. But, like, if the weapon is working the intended way, like, you can't 1v1 everybody in combat, like, in a fair fight. Like, that's sort of not the point of the game. Alright, this grace should be where we need to head. And then from here down onto the cliff. Which we can do slightly more safely on the horse. Is it behind us now? I forget what the order of these drops is. No, it's definitely not that way. Oh, it's down here. Right, yeah. And then it's behind. Cool. And then it's shoot the barrels. Come on, dude. I'll be off now. Can probably just run through here okay. Take a left onto the bridge. Scary guy comes out of the house. We don't even acknowledge scary guy. Oh. It's a good thing we don't acknowledge scary guy, because scary guy just did a scary thing. We climb the ladder and he's gone. And this is what we came here for in the first place. Ta-da! Right, that's going to replace this. And is going to make everything slightly better. Now we can go back to the base game. And theoretically fight Fire Giant. We'll see. What's it do? This is an improved version of the... This is the Arrow's Sting Talisman. This is the Arrow's Soaring Sting Talisman. It's an improved version of Arrow's Reach, where it increases the range of bows and, raises the attack power of both arrows and bolts. And it stacks with the one we've already got that just raises the attack power of arrows and bolts. So, it's pretty good. And now we go and fight Fire Giants. So as usual, since we have gotten to this point, we are going to try summoning Alexander. I'm obviously going to have arrows that aren't fire arrows for this fight. I think, honestly, the lightning or magic is probably going to work pretty well, but we'll go with regular bolts and bleed bolts for now. Scarlet Rot is also really helpful for the Fire Giant fight, so... You know what? Actually, I might go back to Round Table Hold and get the Rot arrows. Maybe just for Phase 2. I think I might be able to upgrade the Arbalest one more level as well.
You know how to lay out your arms then.
Yeah, cool. So now we'll probably get to Farum Azula. We'll try and do the Godskins fight. And then we'll buy the 7s and 8s that we need. Because, honestly, I think getting from the DLC is just going to be a little bit too much effort. And also a little bit too much research. But in here we get a crossbow and some bolts that deal Scarlet Rot. So then we can head back to Mountaintops and Scarlet Rot the Fire Giants. Love the way the shield looks. Yeah. It's a jellyfish. So as long as Alexander is still alive for Phase 2, then we can use him as a distraction. You have a 4-hour meeting soon? Oh no, I'm sorry. Well, I'm probably going to be done in about half an hour here anyway, so... Alexander's summon sign should be just through here. And yeah, Alexander gets summoned after entering the arena, which in theory means it doesn't increase Fire Giant's health. Also, I think allows us to summon Mimic Tear. So maybe we could do that if we need an extra distraction after facing Fire Giant. Does mean we can't summon Torrent, though. And thus the fight begins. As always, our first order of business is going to be dealing with his leg splint. involves him keeping his foot still. There we go. Oh yeah, okay, we need FP for that, huh? Ow. We got swept. It occurs to me that I never even used Mohg's Shackle for the Mohg fight, which I'm also kind of happy about. But it also occurs to me, in the process of that occurring to me, that I still have Mohg's Purifying Crystal tier thing on my Mixed Physic Flask, so not that it was doing a ton for me before this, but that is currently doing absolutely nothing. Except maybe Opaline Bubble tier might be kind of useful here later. Get him, Alexander. Okay, there's our first bleed. And somehow my health is, like, just low enough. Alexander's still doing pretty well health-wise, so that's promising. Alright, I'm going to switch these to Scarlet Rot now. Because second phase Fire Giant is going to completely remove all of the statuses and stuff that he has, because it's technically a different guy. What's up, Blueberry? Only just got into Elden Ring, didn't realize I played. Yeah, I've been playing this since probably a few months after it came out. I didn't get it like right at launch, but I got it a little bit later, and it's one of my favorite games. So, I guess if you've only just got into the game, spoilers, but maybe you've got this far already, I don't know. Worst part of this fight is just fighting the way the camera lock works? Yeah, uh-huh. Look at my foot! I gave myself an extra eye so I could look at my foot. Okay, well, for this fight, I'm going to spawn Mimic Tier, because Mimic Tier should now have all of my equipment, which includes the Scarlet Rot arrows. So hopefully we'll be able to deal some Scarlet Rot to him once he's done with this part. The bullet hell section is over with, and we can get to fighting. So, already missed with one. Got to try and get them into the body, so there's plenty of opportunity for the effect to proc. Ow, ow, and ow. Okay, so if he's not Scarlet Rotted by now, I've just run out of bolts, so it's up to Mimic Tear to do anything with that. It doesn't look like he is to me, but... And did I not just change the bolts? I feel like I did. Whoa, alright. Calm down there, big guy. I don't want to call it early, but this looks like it could be a win. Especially since Alexander just stunned him and Mimic Tear is still up. So I don't know if using all of our black key bolts was necessarily a wise idea, since it didn't get us the Scarlet Rot, but if we win, then at least we win, you know? Still love to be able to dodge that consistently. Really got to start dodging when the fireball hits rather than dodging when he throws them. Oh yeah. Flamethrower McGee is here. The eye being so bloodshot is so creepy, dude. There we go. Okay, he came back with another set then, and I feel like that's... Oh, come on! Man, if he threw another set right now, I'd be so furious. But I think Alexander just stunned him again, so we'll take advantage. We'll do the bleed. We'll get it done. Oh my goodness, that was rough. Ooh. Well then. Well then. We're back on our feet. I mean, too soon, but whatever. Let's get this grace. It did work out in the end. Yes, it worked out in the end. Thank goodness for that. Okay, let's put another point into endurance. Would still love to be able to wear that bull goat's helmet at some stage. And I see no point in delaying going to Farum Azula at this point. Yes, welcome back to Facecam. Sorry, I often forget to show it again because I'm too busy, like, preparing for the next phase of a fight. This whole thing always feels so precarious, man. It always feels like I could fall off this chain at any moment. Especially with how Torrent handles, yeah. Yeah, horses in video games are often tricky, right? Because you want the horse to feel like you're riding a horse to make it worth even putting a horse in the game in the first place. Like, it's not like you're driving a car or on some kind of, like, futuristic hover thing that can turn on a dime and go any direction you want it to, but it's still a struggle to make a playable horse.
I have long observed the lands between this world and death. Are you to commit?
Are we prepared to commit?
Very
I think
well,
we are.
let my hand.
We got no special Frenzied Flame whatnots this time. It is just the default. Imagine running across a snow-covered giant chain would be precarious? Yeah. Given the size of the chain, though. You gotta hope that the snow is packed in real tight.
O Erdtree, you shall burn.
Oh, Erdtree, you so silly. Well, somehow, on a crossbow-only run... I say crossbow-only. I've got summons and stuff going on. It's hardly crossbow-only, but...
For the sake of the new lord.
On a very crossbow-focused run, we have made it to Farum Azula. I mean, I'll take it. Like, pretty impressed by that in general. Oh, Erdtree, you so fine, you blow my mind.
Thank you for guiding me here.
Now go to Farum Azula.
The one who walks alongside flame shall one day meet the road of destined death.
It is 9th run out of 408, or 9th weapon in one run. This is the 9th run out of 408. And here we are, with this ridiculous armor set on. Like, what are the horns even doing? It's like having a roll cage. It's like having bars on the front of a truck. That's what we're doing right here. Someone else you watch is playing through all 16 Final Fantasy games. I wonder which of you will finish first. Probably them. I would say definitely them. I mean, there's a lot to do in Final Fantasy 11 and 14, but it's probably going to take them less than 8 years, you know? Alright, we're going to run through the Beastmen this time. I really don't feel like fighting the Beastmen. And the priority is reaching a Grace. We can probably tank a little bit of damage, but as per usual, we're probably going to get killed in this room. If we don't, though, we'll at least get to make it past the dragon. I don't know if the Beastmen even, like, follow you down here, but if they do... Yeah, no, they backed off. That's fine. Entirely fair. I would do the same. Incoming dragon. Dragon wound grease, as if you're going to just be like, oh, that's what I need. Turn around and fight. Get out of here. Okay, grace number 2. Somebody there with the silver mimic tier helmet's really funny. What a wacky looking helmet, dude. Okay, excuse me. I shall be making my way through here, no questions asked. No questions answered either. Oh, which way do we go? Ah! We made it. There's a bunch of somber smithing stones around here that I simply do not need. Don't mind me. Coming through, coming through. Okay, we made it to this grace. Now we hop down here. I made it that far, dude, and I died. Come on. I'm always like, do I roll? Do I jump? Like, it doesn't feel like I should jump there. I should really jump there. And that's why. Alright. A quick buff routine here, because it's actually going to be kind of annoying to fight this guy. The kick was a little extra, but... There we go. Yeah, that guy's only really easy to fight if you can, like, interrupt him, which a crossbow is not very good at doing. But that's fine, because we can make it to this grace. I might apply Radahn's Great Rune here. And just like the last couple of fights, we're going to summon the NPC who will help us. And I might also consider... you know what, let's go with this one. We could also do the stamina one, I guess. I might also consider using Mimic Tier if the fight looks like it's getting out of hand. But yeah, Radahn's Great Rune and the Mixed Physicans is now slightly better equipped to help us. A little bit of extra everything, please. Me and Banal, probably the most tanky combination we're going to get here. So we don't have any sleep arrows or anything like that. But we should be okay. The only thing I have concerns about here is how maneuverable they are. Because this guy is just going to keep giving us the jukes. Unless he's, like, starting an attack already, at which point I get a little more vulnerable. Try and give him a wall that he can't escape from. Yeah, this is gross levels of dodging. Yeah, I should really have ended up picking Noble to fight because he's more... like tanky. He'll just like walk at you. Oh, oops. Okay, didn't realize that Noble had got to phase 2. Gonna use Mimic Tear here just because Banal looks like he's in trouble and we do need a little help. He managed to take down Apostle though, which is pretty impressive. And we finally got a bleed on this guy. Nice. Okay, time to await whoever's next. Oh, dang it, I just destroyed the buff on that, but I would have done it anyway when I switched to the seal. Okay, he's summoning Noble back. Ouch. That still hits pretty hard even with this armor set. He saw it work and he was like, let me try that 2 more times. Yeah, Noble's definitely the better target for a crossbow user. This is the easy part of this fight. Okay, you got him the same way that time. Not terrible. And honestly, if Apostle resummons Noble here, we'll have a better time because he won't be doing so much dodging. I don't think Apostle bleeds as easily. Yeah, okay, cool. We'll try and focus on Noble then. Because Apostle will be less aggressive once he's got a teammate in play, and We should just have to take Noble down, and then once their health bar's gone, they both go. But it's taken 2 summons to get us this far, which is wild to me. Ow. He almost jumped in front of the arrow then. Did you see that? He was like, I'll take a bullet for you, buddy. Oh, this is going to make it easier. As long as Apostle doesn't try anything funny, we're in the goods here. Nice. Get wrecked. Oh, first try. Okay, we made it to where I wanted to be. We are right before Malekith. And just in time as well. Obviously the stream has been chopped up a little awkwardly by that technical issue earlier. Not even close, just don't look at the bleed bolt count. What do you mean? I've got 99. I do need to go and visit the cellars again, though. Either way, we should probably hoof it for beside the bridge. Because I do not want our luck to run out here. Ignore me. I'm not here. Okay, made the jump this time, not bad. So we now have the capability of buying Somber Smithing Stone 7s and 8s. We are on our way to the dragon that gives you the Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone, provided that we can kill it. Fortunately, we survived that last fight, so I do have my Great Rune still active. Learned everything about Minecraft in your videos back in 2020, then life happened? Of course. I mean, life was happening pretty hard in 2020, but I'm glad you managed to stumble upon my channel. And yeah, these days we're still doing the same sort of thing. Still playing games. Still playing a lot of Minecrafts. Still making the Minecraft survival guide even. These guys. You'd think being a bow user would make it easier to fight birds. Still going to take everything we got to take down one bird. I'll take your feathers. Game is giving me Smithing Stone 6s. We're as useless as each other, me and this bird. Basically got to shoot the bird off me when it's right on top of me. Okay, moving on. Well, these are Stormhawks. There is definitely a storm happening. Again, please. Yeah, if the bird can fly directly at me every time, that would be lovely, thanks. And now apparently this one can't make it over a small piece of rock, despite it being significantly higher than the small piece of rock. Seriously, bud? Okay, good. Lovely, wonderful. We did it. 10 out of 10, A+. Just gonna do a quick buff routine before we fight this dragon, because fighting this dragon is going to be awful otherwise. Alright, bye. So I guess we're getting the dragon smithing stone from Nefeli then, because this dragon refuses to stay still. Just going to roll on through here without fighting too many of these guys because I am running a little behind on ammo. And frankly, if I can avoid fighting too many of them, then we get to the Grace slightly faster. Okay. We're on the elevator. We made it to the bridge. GG's, no rees, and I think at this point we should probably just go and buy some more bolts. And we're going to call it there for the stream. There's no way I'm beating Malekith. Level 136 so far, though. Ain't too bad. Yeah, in terms of bolts we need, Imprisoned Merchant is probably our first stop. I will admit that I am probably like summoning more than I expected to, or summoning more than I did on like the bow based runs at least. But you know what, I feel like the crossbow is doing quite well. Doing quite well. Yeah, we're going to quickly run and get the blood bolts from here. I think the rest of the bolts I will spend some time farming more runes for. But yeah, we're basically out of cash otherwise, so I'll need to spend a bit more time over here at the bird farm getting some more bits and pieces. But overall, our stock of bolts is not looking too bad, so it shouldn't take too much longer. And then on Sunday, we'll be back and we can potentially, fingers crossed, finish this run of Elden Ring. And then we'll start on Astrologer's Staff next time, like maybe from Tuesday onwards, depending if Sloy is available. And we'll see how things go. But for now, folks, that's where we'll end the stream. Thank you all for hanging out. Sorry for the minor technical adjustment in the middle of the stream. Hope everyone's enjoyed sticking around. Thank you if you stuck around all the way from the Minecraft stream earlier as well. I'm going to be finding somebody to raid. Let's see who's live today. Who can we drop in on? I tell you what, I'll send you folks over to Azuma. Azuma's working on stuff on Hermitcraft, playing Mace Race and stuff. So I'll go and say hi to him. It's an Elden Ring to Minecraft trajectory. But yeah, thanks so much for being here, folks. As always, you can use your Pixel Hype emotes and hashtag PixelRaid to show some love over on Azuma's stream. I'll be back with you on Sunday for another Minecraft stream and probably another Elden Ring stream too. Until then, take care of yourselves. Have a good one. I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.